Hi everybody, this is Bastiaan, and I've been asked to do a video on pawn sacrifices in the middle game and to explain when to do them and what the things are you have to look for in order to make successful pawn sacrifices. Not gambit pawn sacrifices, but sacrifices that actually improve white's position, so solid sacrifices. So this is a game I played against a strong opponent, a familiar opponent, using a lot of prepared lines. So I'm opening with d4, d5, knight to f3, and knight to f6, e3, and rushing knight to c6, the Chigorin defense. So I'm playing the Queens Gambit, c4, e6, and knight to c3. So we're seeing standard development, and black continues aggressively with bishop to b4, immediately pinning my king. So the two most logical continuations for white are probably either pawn to a3, forcing the bishop to commit, and if bishop takes and pawn takes, black will have lost the bishop pair, but white does have double pawns, but that's not a problem because I can exchange them soon enough. The second possibility is to break the pin with bishop d2. So this frees up the knight and is a good move, possibly the best one, but none of those were played, and I'm just continuing my development and temporarily ignoring the pin on the knight. So I'm playing bishop to d3, and black continues with knight to e4. So we're seeing he's setting up a stonewall formation. Probably pawn to f5 will follow, and he has two attackers on my knight on c3, and in this position I can choose to either capture his knight, bishop takes, and then pawn takes, and I will have lost the bishop pair. Or if I play an irrelevant move, like say h3, we can see the danger of black's attack. So if knight takes knight, pawn takes, and bishop takes, I will have lost the pawn and lost an exchange. So bishop d2, and I'm losing a rook. So knight to e4 is the beginning of a strong attack, but black is at the very least threatening to gain a pawn, so the b2 pawn is in danger of being lost. But I'm not taking his knight, nor am I defending with queen to c2, for instance, but I'm still ignoring his attack and decide to simply castle, and this sacrifices the first pawn, because now of course the black continues with his attacking idea. Knight takes knight, pawn takes, and bishop takes. So now I'm not being forked at the moment, but I have lost a pawn, and I'm being forced to play rook to b1, which is actually a good move. And the idea of this pawn sacrifice is to trap black's bishop behind enemy lines, and at one point queen to d2 to attack the bishop might come up, and black needs to decide or look for a way out for his bishop. And if black tries to run right away, say bishop to b4, retreat on his diagonal, I can quickly lock him out with pawn to c5, and black's in danger of losing his bishop. So black decides to get rid of the c4 pawn. So pawn takes pawn, and this is a typical idea in the Queen's Gambit. And black takes the pawn on c4, so he forces white's bishop to waste one tempo from f1 to d3 and then d3 to c4 by exchanging the pawns. And this way black can try to retreat with his bishop. But I'm not going to recapture the pawn on c4. I'm going to sack a second pawn and develop my bishop to e4. And this poses two real problems. Well, the two minor problems for black is first, he has double pawns on the c-file, and second, his king is not castled yet. But he has to decide which piece to move right now, because they're both under attack, or going to be under attack. I'm threatening bishop takes knight with check, threatening to triple the pawns on the c-file. So black has to make a choice whether or not to move his knight. Also, black must look out for his bishop and see if he can retreat him. So we're going to take a look at the options. First, black may or may not try to move his knight. So let's see what that will do. So if knight to e7, I have a discovered attack on the pawn on b7, and I can try to regain my material. So bishop takes pawn, forcing a recapture, and bishop takes. So I have my rook on the 7th rank, and the next step for white is to bring his queen on a4 with check, with an attack on the pawn on a7, with an attack on the pawn on c4. So if black tries to counterattack with queen c8, so this is just an example, queen a4 check, then perhaps queen d7, and white has no problems regaining his pawns. Queen c4, then attack on the awkwardly placed bishop and the pawn on c7. So that's one idea. So moving the knight will create great attacking opportunities for white, and is probably a bad move. So the second idea that black can think about is retreat his bishop, because he's going to become under attack. So bishop b4 fails completely because of bishop takes knight, pawn takes, and rook takes bishop. So he can't retreat to b4 for the moment. So black can try to retreat to a5, but then once again we get bishop takes, pawn takes, and queen a4 attacking the bishop, attacking the pawn on c6, with a triple fork on the king, the rook, and the pawn. So if black retreats his bishop to safety, check, then bishop to d7 in order to protect the rook, and white has regained his lost pawns and is looking to develop his bishop on a3. So if black wants to castle, he has to do it now. And bishop a3, rook to e8, also blocking the retreat of the bishop, and then knight to e5, forcing the bishop exchange, or retreat of the bishop to c8, and white definitely has a winning position. And another idea for black, I mean, is to play a5, and this makes b4 available as a retreat for the bishop, but it fails completely because of, once again, queen a4, now with a pin on the knight, and the bishop can't retreat because of, if bishop b4, simply rook takes. Knight can't recapture because of the pin, and pawn can't recapture because of queen takes rook. So we're seeing the possibilities of trapping the bishop out of the game, or simply winning the bishop. But none of those moves were played, and black tries to play a different move in order to save his bishop. And that's for the second part of this video.